All
All
right.
right,
Hello, everybody.
awesome.
Hey,
What's up?
this is Mike Young from aPlantBasedDiet.org, and I'm here with Marcus Watts from the Vegan Transition. Hey,
What's up,
Marcus.
guys? How you guys doing? What's up, Mike? It's good to see your face, man.
Thank you. Same with you. I got more hair than ever. I'm still waiting for a haircut. We're coming out of this COVID-19, but the whole weirdness is setting in. I think with everybody trying to
Yeah,
transition back into regular life. That of course assumes that we're going to have a regular life going forward. I think that a lot of people don't even know about that for sure, but they're trying to at least
yeah,
get back to normal as much as they can.
100%, man. And no, I'm with you on the hair, except only after like 9 years of shaving my head bald, I started growing my hair like last like December, so I was
Yeah.
already ready for the rough patch.
That's
But
right. So,
no,
but I guess it's easier shaving your head. I used to use some tight clippers on mine. People thought I
yeah.
was in the military, but
Oh yeah.
I stopped doing that. But now it's just totally unkempt looking now. That's what it
Yeah, yeah. Well, as long as you keep like a little bit of a lineup, you know what I mean? Just a little bit, then you can kind of pass it off. I don't know. I just kind of got tired. I was like, I need a little bit of a change.
Yeah.
But I found it actually, I feel like it's easier than when I was bald, because when I was bald, I love to keep it so clean. You know what I mean? So I had to shave my head like constantly. And then, you can get like skin irritation. It's always pros and cons. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
I was kind of like you, right? But mine was just short height, so
yeah, yeah,
you
like
didn't see
a
the skin
one or
level.
something.
But I'm starting to go a little thin on the top now, so it doesn't work right anymore. But
Yeah,
probably
yeah.
better off doing what you were doing if I had to go back into it.
I'm telling you, man, bald. Hey, bald is beautiful.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. All right.
Well,
So
it's good to see your face, man.
yeah, same here. So
Yeah,
we're doing our weekly update. So we got some
yeah,
news articles to cover, right? So what
yeah,
are we going to dive into here? What's like pressing? What's like the newest, biggest news that we're going to talk about?
yeah. So, let's go ahead and get to. I'm not sure if it's sharing. Is it sharing
That's
the
it.
screen? Can
Yeah,
you see it?
that's it. I
Okay.
see it. Yep.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. So, this article is actually about slaughterhouse workers now being used to make vegan meat or faux meats, or however you want to say it, meat substitutes. But this one's really intriguing. And PETA is actually offering to do this. So yeah, tell us about, like, what did you think when you first saw this article? I guess, man.
Well, I thought it was a good idea because you're hearing a lot of buzz right now about how there's a meat shortage, right? So if there's a meat shortage, there's probably a shortage of work for the workers, right? So they'd have to transition into something else.
Yeah.
And if you look at this article, they actually talked about how PETA has done this in the past, and they actually train people to be flower arrangers. That was the like if
Oh,
they're gonna get
really?
you out of yeah, if they're going to get you out of the slaughterhouse to get you into arranging flowers. But now
Wow.
something that's a lot more directly related, right? If
Yeah,
you go
yeah,
from the
definitely.
animal product, you go to the plant product, and if they're doing similar stuff, they probably already have a lot of knowledge in there. And I think that it's important because I have a feeling that a lot of people go into these jobs not necessarily because they want to be in a meat packing
A
plant,
100%.
but it's because like it's what they have to do to make ends meet. It's what pays the best, right?
Hmm.
Given their skill set, given their geographic location, whatever the case might be. So this is just like a really big opportunity, I think, for people that might feel like they're trapped and don't have any other choice.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people too, it's the type of industry, you'll hear like, butcher's son, or, a butcher's family. People will kind of get into it. And then it's like something that, because it was a means of sustainability and livelihood for your family or for someone close to you, you'll now see whether it's something like this or it could be just about anything. This is just now the norm for your family because it's what your family does.
Yeah.
And this could be a really cool way, if anything, to just educate people on some things that maybe they didn't see were right there in front of them, and maybe to give people some perspective. I guess also just too, because it just seems like a smart thing to do, because as they mentioned here in the article, that the meat packing and processing industry obviously hugely impacted. And you're talking about at least 167 plants experienced outbreaks alone, right?
Yeah.
Over 9,400 people, almost entirely workers, became sick with the virus. That's not to mention all of the other people that are just working inside of those facilities. It's a lot of people. I would love to see the numbers on like exactly how many people work, how many of these workers they're talking about. Because you're talking, they list some of the companies here, Cargill,
Cargo.
I'm
Yeah.
saying Cargo.
Yeah. Yeah.
We don't name anymore, so I don't know how to say so. National Beef Packing Company, Empire Kosher Poultry, Tyson Foods, just to name a few. What do you think about like just those sheer numbers of people, and one, just being able to kind of give those people another option because it helps the economy, and two, you think do you think that those people might now develop an interest in the actual lifestyle, not just the work?
Yeah, I think that's a great point, Marcus, because you kind of pick up what's around you, right? So like
A
if all you're
hundred
around
percent.
all day is meat, cutting up animals and blood and all that stuff, and the smells that go with it, and just the whole vibe of the whole place, I mean,
Hmm.
that's just going to weigh on you in a psychological way. I don't think anybody can resist that. But then if you go into something really positive, I mean, we're talking about stuff getting from plants, no animals are harmed, in the future too. I want to mention that because something else that's been in the news along with this is like stock analysts, like this one guy named Jim Cramer. I think he's with CNBC or something like that. He said like, plant-based is the future now.
Oh,
We
it's
got,
insane.
yeah,
Like highest sales like ever, like in the last like 60 days for some of these companies. And that's actually empowered, and I'm sorry to cut you off.
oh,
That's actually empowered Impossible Meats to now be like, okay, we now have more of the means to bring it to people. We have more of the demand, like, and now we have a responsibility to make this food option available like to more people. Because before it was kind of like a they were making it so that you couldn't get it in regular stores. You know what I mean? They wanted to
yeah.
control that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, anytime you got somebody that's disrupting something,
Hmm.
the status quo always tries to hold them back.
100%.
That's like you look at anything over history, whether it's these types of specialized plant products that are pushing out the animal products. We talked about it before here between you and I, right? About how stuff was lawsuits were being brought about calling stuff dairy that wasn't
Right.
actually an animal product; it was a plant product, and those are just all techniques that the status quo is using to keep out the new. And it's
Hmm.
unfortunate, but I think it's always like that for some reason.
Hmm. I think this is just kind of you don't, I don't think you want to use the word perfect storm because there's so much tragic stuff that's happening with
Yeah,
people's lives were affected, but the lives lost, and the way the way the economy is being affected. But this time is kind of showing some other things that are important, like how like things like Zoom, for example. Now, like my
there we
family
go.
has a Zoom like every 2 weeks at like 5 p.m. on Sundays, and like maybe people are connecting with people that they wouldn't before because they're kind of forced to use some other ways, and they're finding out there are ways to keep in touch. Same thing I think with this is that it's just kind of been, at first people made jokes. They're like, even the tofu's gone, or even the vegan products are gone. Now it's kind of like, wait a minute, if what if there's not going to be the amount of meat that's available? And look, at all these people were already having this before. I think now like the wheels kind of start to turn, and people are like,
Mm.
all right, well, remember, it's one of those things where meat is, I speak about this to people all the time. I'm like, meat was never supposed to be available in the abundance that it is,
Yeah,
right?
it was for kings and royalty and people like that, right?
Exactly, exactly. And the one example I always use, and I respect the culture so much and what they did under the Native Americans, or the first Americans, if you want to say
True.
that, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Even with them, the original hunter gatherers, when you speak about people eating off the Paleolithic diet, right? I would explain to them that even them in those times, meat was a last option most times, because the the bounty, like the hunt, wasn't always bountiful. You know what I mean? And even when
mm,
it was, women and children ate first, and they lived mostly off the land, and everything else, the fish and the animals, was a delicacy, and they also respected the animals in a whole other way. They, you know, used every part of the animal, unlike we do today. But we weren't meant to just go into a market and just be able to grab just slabs and slabs of meat off of a shelf or off of a freezer and then take home
yeah.
to stock up another freezer. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So I think that now people naturally, you start to revert to kind of some of those things because we remember that you can function without it.
That's a good thing. It's a good thing. Very good thing. All right. Well, that kind of goes into the next one we're going to talk about, right? Which I
Yeah,
think was about a bill that was introduced. Right? I
exactly.
couldn't
Yeah.
believe I saw this. I was like, what?
Yeah, I'm still kind of blown away. You and I are a bit skeptical about this, but it's still a great conversation that's happening. And again, would we be speaking about this stuff if we weren't in the current times? Probably not. But
Yeah.
Elizabeth Warren and Cory Booker co-sponsor a bill to ban factory farming. If passed, the Farm System Reform Act would phase out operations by 2040. Mike, just please tell us a little bit about this because there's a lot to unpack here.
Okay. Well, the first thing is this thing going to pass? I don't give it a lot of hope in passing, but I would
What do
love
they
to see
need
it
for it to
pass.
pass?
Yeah, but we're just talking about it, right? Just getting that conversation going. We're just out there. The lawmakers are discussing it right now, and it's because of what you said. It's like a perfect storm because everybody knows that these COVID viruses they originate in animals, right? In animal farming specifically. That's what it's
Mhm.
thought to arise at. So
Right.
it's a dangerous operation with a lot of costs that are not being paid for when you purchase that product. Society is paying for all these costs right now, and the
Mhm.
lawmakers are out there to make sure that that this society that we live in is as best as possible for everybody. So you can't ignore this right now. You've got to discuss it. You've got to try to do something about it. The only thing we can do is to really reduce our dependence upon animal products. So if you're going
Mhm.
to ban them, there you go.
Yeah, 100%. And I think I think that's the thing. It's like, okay, we want to reduce the dependence on animal products. But first off, I was trying to Google as well, like, is Elizabeth Warren vegan? Like, I was just trying to just find out if maybe she has a person, because I feel like this is a definite reach. Um, I'm not one to speak a ton about politics, but I think this is a definite reach for votes as well, because now
Yeah.
you're going to just start to get a lot of people, obviously in Cory Booker's state, that are going to be obviously get behind that just for the reason of, hey, now there's a potential that they're seeing from our side, of the table. But yeah, I'm super skeptical
Yeah.
about it.
Well,
Just,
okay. Well, Cory Booker. I mean, what do you think, Marcus? I mean, I've heard he's vegan. Is that right, Cory Booker?
um, I think, I think he might be
But
actually.
it doesn't really matter. I mean, to me, what matters is that these folks are looking out for the well-being of society, and they recognize that we've got to we've got to reduce as much as possible the animal products, right? So it doesn't even matter
Mhm.
if they're vegan or not. They are doing some work of someone who
Yeah.
has a vegan mindset for sure.
Yeah, he definitely is. Just upon doing a little research, the first thing that comes up is Cory Booker on animal rights, veganism,
Yeah.
and a few other topics. But it looks, yeah, why Cory Booker's vegan definitely looks like he is.
Yeah, and then like you said, I don't really like to get into politics either, especially not with the nonprofit. However, I'm guessing, that this is just something that we're going to hear more of because it's a fact, right? I mean, this is not necessarily a political issue, although I'm sure, obviously, there are some on one political side that are more for this than others, but it's a fact. It's just like a lot of other things that we've had to get rid of over time because we recognize they're bad for society. Like cigarettes being an obvious precursor to this.
Right.
And, this is just the next level. There'll be more levels after this. Once we solve this problem, there'll be more levels, I'm sure.
I agree. I think that it's this whole, I will say that, he's from New Jersey,
Yeah.
and I have the president of the Brooklyn borough, who's actually going
Oh,
to
that's right.
be he was supposed to be on a podcast like last week, but they had a press conference that got called. But the Vegan Transition podcast, we're going to have a few people in. And so I think you're starting to kind of see something that's happening in that northeast area as well, which is kind of intriguing to me. Last thing I guess I'll probably ask on you is, so let's say that this is a real thing. Where do you think this goes? Like, first off, do you think it'll get passed in New Jersey? And if so, like, where do you think, like, where could it extend to? Because I think that anyone that opposes it, they're looking at the financial side of it. You know what I mean? Of course, like if you're involved in that industry, where do you think it kind of goes from there if it did get passed in a crazy world.
Well, I mean, it is a partisan political issue. I mean, New Jersey's a blue state, Democratic state, so this doesn't surprise me, right? It doesn't
Hmm.
surprise me that somebody who has that method of thinking is going to be on that political leaning, and so it's going to have to become more mainstream. Now, it's going to have to kind of moderate to the middle in order to be widely accepted. If we're just talking about it on a state by state basis, I can totally see that more Democratic leaning states are going to pass this stuff very quickly, whereas of course more Republican leaning states are going to reject this as for as long as they can. But I think it comes down to an issue of just showing the connection, right? Showing the connection between the animal agriculture, the origination of these viruses, the
Mm.
sicknesses of people, the economic impact of that. After a while, it just becomes undeniable, in that we don't want to have that door wide open to this happening again or worse. Because I think that truly this COVID-19 has been a lot more mild than it could have been. And I think we're just waiting for the next pandemic, which is potentially going to be exponentially worse than what we're seeing and what we have seen recently.
Right, right. Something else that goes along with it, again, just that conversation of, okay, the swine flu and SARS and this and that
Yeah.
originating from animals. This is kind of the conversation that will get brought up whenever we're speaking to someone outside of the plant-based community, which, like, hey, listen, like, you'll find worms inside of these animals, you know what I mean? And you'll find, animals with tumors, and they
They're
just,
sick. Yeah.
with
The
brain
animals are
cancer,
sick
they'll just
for
chop
sure.
them up, shred them, and feed them to the other animals. And this just continues. And it's one of those things where I feel like for a long time, people will kind of just push it off, like, oh yeah, well, whatever. I'm not, they'll see some people might see a video on Facebook and be like, all right, I can't do it anymore. But this is really you're gonna really have to consciously, every time that you eat meat, make a decision to be like, I know this, and this is what we talk about with being plant-based. It's like, I can't act like I don't know now. And I think that that's
Yeah.
where people are gonna start to fall. It's like, hey, you're aware of this stuff now. So what's your next, decision gonna be with how you
Yeah.
choose to go about your food,
And we're all connected, right? We're more connected than ever. I think going forward, we're going to be even more connected. Just like you and I are on video now. It seems like for a
Mhm.
while everyone was typing stuff on their phones. Now
Right.
everybody's doing video. Like that, this has kind of ramped up that whole video stuff. So now we're more connected than ever. We're going to keep being connected. What you do affects everybody else. So
Hmm.
you we have to determine what's best for society.
Spot on, man. Spot on. Now, which leads us to our next one, which I think is going to be great for society, especially once all this is over and you and I can book our first trip.
Yes.
It's a fully vegan hotel opening in Greece. And so this is the first like fully vegan hotel. It's set to open in Anomera, which is a small village located in Mykonos. Hope I'm saying that right. If you're Greek and you know how to better say it, please tell me, because I like to learn stuff. Mike, what do you think about this, and when are we going?
Well, I haven't been to Greece. If you guys have been to Greece, comment below or something. But Mykonos, I've always seen pictures. It looks like an awesome place. So of course, if I'm going there, I'm staying at a vegan hotel, right? It's not
All
like
right,
it's not like I'm going there just because it's the only place I can go that's a vegan hotel, though it might be. But it's an
right.
awesome place to begin with. So that's the future of travel. I would hope is that people are going to become more selective. They're going to vote
That's what I
with
was
their
gonna say.
dollars,
Yeah.
right? They're going to say, well, I'm going to stay here. If I'm going to this area, I'm going to stay here instead of somewhere else. And that's what we have to do. We have to vote with our dollars. And this hotel not only has all vegan food, they've got I think some raw selections on there too. And
Hmm.
everything, of course, from all the decorations in the entire hotel are all without animal products and sustainable. So that's the kind of stuff we want to see going forward. I think that's the way things are going to be going forward. So
Yeah.
it's great to see this.
A couple things here. So the first one is, like you said, how smart is it for Greece? Number one, who's dealt with a lot, right? Their companies dealt with a lot of stuff. The value in their currency has gone down. Yeah, their economy was. How smart is it for a struggling nation to find some way? Because I'm sure that the state had something to do with this, because they're huge in travel. Um, how smart is it for a country to start setting stuff up like this and to make your country like a place where people now, because the first thing that's going to happen is people are going to start scheduling events here.
Yeah.
I mean, why would I just go? No, I'm going to go to the actual vegan hotel.
Sure.
Um,
Any hotel, like, think about any hotel when you schedule an event, like they're one of their conference rooms, you're gonna have to any hotel nowadays, you have to be so careful if you're doing a vegan event, plant-based event, to make
oh
sure
man.
it's just right. This thing, it's no-brainer. You don't have to do any of that.
Yeah, exactly. You don't have to do anything. How nice would it be to just walk into a place and know, like you don't have to like, because remember when you first go plant based, you have to say, hey, so, and you always have to learn the right questions to ask and the right things to look for in a menu. How cool would it be to just go to a place and know that there's going to be a raw menu, know that everything you're having is sustainable, know that everything that you're having is vegan and free of animal products, from everything that you touch, everything that you sleep on? I feel like people would just be so recharged here. I really want to dig more into this place, but obviously, they have an all vegan menu, and everything in the hotel, even just the looks of it, it looks so aesthetically pleasing.
Yes. Yeah, nice, stylish for sure.
Yeah, it looks really cool. You want to go on to the next one, the
Yeah,
vegan medical center?
absolutely. Yeah, I
All
think
right,
that one's a
cool.
no-brainer right there. I just want to make
Yeah,
sure that people know about it. That's actually happening
yeah,
right now.
yeah. So again, I think one of those things where, for me, I go, to your events, I go to these veg fests all over. And the coolest thing is to get to speak with a plant-based cardiologist or a plant-based ER surgeon, and to get to hear it from people who have like real experience with it. They see it on a daily basis and they've got their own experiences to be able to share to other people. Here you're talking about a vegan medical center that's actually open for telehealth appointments, and I'm guessing that
Yeah.
this is going to turn into more of actual physical centers.
Yeah,
But yeah, tell
well,
us about this.
yeah, this I know about because this is the Barnard Medical Center, and you guys who are familiar with Dr. Barnard know that he's the head of PCRM, the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine, and they're located in right on the DC border, DC Maryland border there, and that's where this medical center is. There, it's in the same facility. I've been there actually before.
Hmm.
So, but the big groundbreaking information here is that they're now open to just about anybody for telehealth, right?
Hmm.
And I think that that's one of the big things that has really developed through this COVID-19 crisis has been telemedicine, and the fact that the Barnard Medical Center already has plenty of experience, they have all the knowledge, they know why they're doing this from a scientific
Hmm.
and medical standpoint. They now anybody can reach out to them no matter where you guys are. And I think that
Yeah,
telemedicine is the future of medicine. So this is a great step in the right direction. I'm glad to see that it's available now.
yeah, and this is the actual, on the screen now. We've got the actual medical center, so you guys can just go here to pcrm.org, and then you can
Yeah, Barnard.
just go through the entire situation. You can just schedule your appointment, get in contact with somebody. Do you think we're going to start seeing more of these, Mike? Like, I feel like this is like with the telehealth, it's becoming so big as well, especially in these times because people can't go directly and interact, right? Um, you think that we're going to start seeing more and more of this pop up, and more of these actual medical centers that are specializing in pushing people toward better health choices linked that originate in a plant-based diet?
Yeah, I say okay. I say yes, yes, yes. Everything you said. I mean, the way I see it, the whole industry, the whole medical industry moving is in the direction of plant based.
Mm,
So the Barnard Medical Center has been one of the original all vegan, all plant-based medical practices, but there are practices just like this popping up all over in local locations all around. And I think that that's only going to continue going forward, which is awesome. So in the future, this telehealth with Dr. Barnard's medical center may not be that as big of a deal as it is right at this moment in time, because in
mhm.
the very near future, I do believe that if you're in a decent sized metropolitan area, you're going to have at least one, maybe two, maybe three choices of
Mm,
plant-based. The term is lifestyle medicine
yeah,
centers. Their lifestyle medicine is typically mostly plant-based medicine. Food is medicine type of a thought, and
yeah.
that's the way the medical profession's going. It saves everybody money, saves everybody's health. I mean, it's just life's a lot more fun too when you're not sick all the time.
No, I agree, man. I think that and I've been lucky enough to speak with Dr. B a few times at your events,
Yeah.
and just hearing him in the way as all the experiments and all the data that they're gathering for people. I think that I think that it's definitely starting to, there's a storm that's brewing, getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And things like this are just kind of continuing to show that we're pushing in the right direction. So yeah, man, that's exciting for sure.
Yes. All right. So going from this, I'm hungry. Well, I had something to eat. I know you're going to talk about something today in our recipe of the day that sounds really, really appetizing to me. Anyway.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So, I wanted to share today. I want to get into some raw vegan stuff. I think that a lot of times it's hard to get people into any particular style of eating that they're not used to. Yeah, I find it a lot easier if you start with something that resembles foods that people enjoy. So, if you're just someone who just wants to like have some treats for you and the family, or if you've got some people that you want to kind of introduce to the lifestyle, but they may be a little bit hesitant. Like, for example, it's funny, like if you give something to somebody and they don't know that it's plant-based, they don't know that it doesn't have dairy, doesn't have cheese and all that stuff in it. Um, and then they'll say, "Oh man, yeah, well, yeah, this tastes good," and then you're like,
Yeah.
"Oh yeah, like it's vegan." And then they'll be like, "Oh yeah, like I know you knew it tasted fun," kind of one of those scenarios.
Yeah.
But you can kind of get them to give it a try. So I love this site, nutritiously.com, and this was actually a raw vegan article, looking for raw vegan desserts. And the one that I wanted to share was this one here. Let me turn my little annotation on my mouse so you guys can see it. But yeah, so this one was vanilla caramel donut hole. So like,
That's it.
I actually have not tried this one, but I definitely am gonna try it. I think that like donut bites or donut holes are just kind of one of those little things that you can like grab and pop. Of course, guys, we're gonna always say that like everything in moderation, right? This
Yeah.
shouldn't be the bulk of your diet, but maybe this is something that you're having again to share with family when you're coming together with a bunch of people. And the cool thing is the ingredients weren't anything crazy. You just really needed just a few things. And actual like hard ingredients, it was just rolled oats, cashews, and pitted dates. The rest of the stuff were just small things that you probably actually already have: vanilla extract, coconut oil, maple syrup, vanilla powder. I'm sure that there's a way to even remove the coconut oil for those of you guys that don't want to have any oils. I'm sure that there's another option that we could throw in there. So yeah, this one I thought looked really, really good, and I thought it would be a good option for people to try. So we can throw anyone that wants. If you want this link, just comment dessert link, and then we'll throw it up there for you guys afterwards.
All right. Perfect. All right.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to go into the health topic of the day too, right? We've been talking about
Cool.
sleep recently.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
got something on
Definitely.
that.
Yeah, I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about sleep hygiene. So, especially myself during this time a couple things. It's really easy to stay up later, but then also a lot of you guys probably have a chance to sleep in a little bit more since you don't have to drive to work, right? You don't have a choice to get up earlier and go to the gym. So I've kind of noticed a little bit of both. Sometimes I'll stay up a little too late, but other times it's cool because like I'm still able to get a good amount of sleep because I don't have to be up super early to go anywhere, even though still try to get up and do things. So one thing about sleep is a lot of people or people that are struggling with getting a better quality of sleep. I kind of wanted to talk to you guys. So a few things. And again, we're around the topic of what I like to speak to all my clients about is sleep hygiene. So what is sleep hygiene? It's really Mike just doing things to help yourself have a better quality of sleep. So let's talk about some things that go into it. So first off, serotonin levels, right? When your serotonin levels are high, you're unable to fall asleep. That's as simply put. Serotonin's like when it's high, it's like your fight or flight.
You're
It's like when
wired.
you, yeah, it's like when you sleep in too late, your alarm doesn't go off, and you're able to get dressed, brush your teeth, grab your lunch, everything in like 7.8 minutes, where normally you have to be up like an hour, right? And that's just because your serotonin levels are high, you're in fight or flight, you're doing what you need to survive. So if your serotonin levels are up, you're going to be unable to fall asleep. So you're talking things like bright lights, loud noises. If you're watching shows with like explosions, or if you're watching shows or movies before you go to bed that like really get your brain having to think and problem solve, your serotonin levels will
Yeah.
go up because
I
your
watched
body,
one of those the other
yeah.
night. It was that Vin Diesel movie. It was blood.
Oh, the Bloodshot one, the Marvel one. I didn't see it. Was it any good?
Yeah, it was good.
It was good, but
Yeah.
it was like making you think,
It was
and it
one
had a
that,
lot of
just like you said, it's like just try to go to sleep after watching that.
yeah, yeah, because your mind's thinking like, man, this, and you're so you want to do some things that are kind of doing the opposite, right? So the first thing is I like to tell all of my clients to set, like, based on what time you want to go to bed, just set an alarm to remind you to start getting ready for bed. Actually, iPhone actually does this now, which is a really cool thing. If you set a bedtime for 9 at like 8:30, it's gonna tell you, hey, like bedtime's coming. And the reason you want to do that is because at that time you want to start bringing all the lights down. Maybe you start using some
Mm.
candles or a light or a lamp that's like not like a day bright light. It's like a, softer yellowy light that's like off in the corner. Instead of maybe having the light on in the kitchen, you have the light on that's like over the stove. Listening to some music and some things that'll kind of bring you down and help you to relax. Another thing that I'll do is I'll recommend to my clients, a lot of times people, when they try to go to sleep, because it's so quiet, they'll struggle, right? And
Mm.
so, and that's a very ingrained thing in us, that comes from times of living in caves and sleeping outside before we had buildings and houses with, enclosures and whatnot. We were used to hearing the normal sounds of the night. So maybe if some of your ancestors lived more in the plains, you might want to play something where you can just hear some wind blowing or some thunder in the
Just turn a
background.
fan on, something like that.
Even the fan helps. Yeah, listening to rivers, listening to it might, different people have different things that they like, but something in the background, it's natural for it to not be completely silent. Now, some people don't have a problem with it, Mike. Like recently, like literally, I just lay down and I'm like asleep. I don't have any problems. But when I would be doing a ton of projects and I'm like on computers all the time, that's why I
Yeah.
took off my blue light lenses, because they kind of have that glare. But I wear these blue light lenses so that way when I'm working, it's blocking the light and I'm not
Mm.
getting that much of, that same effect. I try to dim the laptop, dim my phone, stuff like that. So these are all some really simple ways. But if you're struggling to get a better quality of sleep, try one of them or try a few of them and just kind of see which ones work for you.
Well, how about just enough exercise? Like you were saying, most gyms, I think all gyms are
Mhm.
closed, right? I mean, I think
Right.
you've got some workout stuff at home, so you can do that.
Right. Yeah,
But I
that's
think like,
a big one.
yeah, because like me, I finally got some dumbbells because I was
Hmm.
not doing anything. I was just doing push-ups and plank. Now I got
Hmm.
some dumbbells and doing that, but it's still not enough. I know that
Yeah.
I have a hard time going to sleep if I'm not tired, and I haven't got that. I guess it's aerobic or
No,
strength.
that's a great point.
You know?
Great point. First couple weeks of quarantine, kind of noticed the same thing for myself because I was still building my routine back up, coming back from my knee surgery
Yeah.
and stuff. And so you just got all this energy, all this energy. And so your body doesn't recognize that it still feels like it needs to be alert because you haven't been expending energy. So yeah, throwing in some high intensity workouts, whether using body weight or using dumbbells or just something to get you mentally a little, and or physically a little bit, worn down. So your body feels like, hey, listen, I need to recover. I need a high quality of sleep. So
Yeah. Yeah.
also I'll say, if you're watching now and you want to get some free workouts, I'll throw some out, have a bunch put together. Just comment free workout and I'll put it in the comments and put a link out to you guys. But that's a
Okay.
great point, Mike.
Yeah. Yeah. Because that's the number one thing with me. And just like you said, if you're sitting in front of the computer now and not moving a lot, and actually, I don't know if you can tell, but I'm standing right now. Okay.
Yeah.
I've like one of the things I've been switching up because I've been doing so many videos is I'm like, okay, I'm doing videos, I'm talking to people, we're discussing all these great things,
Right. Yeah. You're
but
sitting down like all the
I'm not
time.
moving. Yeah, I'm not moving. So like, I'm actually standing up right now. I'm trying to get this stand up set up here perfected. I'm still
Yeah,
working on it.
I'm trying to get one for my. See, normally I'm out in the living room. I can do that, but I had to be in the office today. That's another really good point. Yeah, just doing more stuff like that to get you moving, and you'll start to feel a lot better as well, man.
Yeah, I think, and it
Help you
doesn't
sleep.
necessarily have to be like, like Dr. Gregor getting on his treadmill when he does his talks a lot of times. It doesn't have to be that. It
Yeah,
just has to
yeah.
be if you're not sitting. Like if you can do anything to stop you from sitting. Like you don't have to be out jogging the whole time, right?
Right.
Just try not to sit as much as you possibly can. That's all.
Yeah. Spot on, man. Spot on.
Yeah. And do we have a takeaway? I don't even know if we discussed a takeaway from this
Yeah,
one.
yeah. Just with this one, I think it's really just start paying attention to your sleep, because I think before we talked about tracking your sleep and things like that. Just start paying attention to what time you're going to bed. Which of these things, did you have a good night of sleep? If so, what were some of those things that you did? Did you have that alarm that reminded you to start winding down? Did you wind down the lights? Did you listen to something? Have you worked out more? Just paying attention, not just to the result, but why you got that result. It'll be a huge
Mm.
help for you guys going forward. It just helped to make you so much healthier.
Okay. All right. Well, I also want to mention, I don't know what I did with it, but there was that one quote I shared recently. Actually, two things I want to mention
Oh
before we
yeah,
go.
yeah.
One is we were joking around about, you know, switching from animal products going into plant products because it's important. One thing I shared today on social media, if you guys saw it, it was a billboard from PETA, and it talked about how tofu has never created a pandemic. And it just shows like a block of tofu, you know, eating tofu has never created a pandemic. I mean, it's not the most exciting food in the world, granted, but at least people aren't dying, right? Or we're not causing
Yeah,
unneeded deaths because of
yeah.
eating that food. So
And I'm like a tofu lover. I'm a massive tofu lover. I just did, I normally do like 2 blocks for the week. And I'll kind of break it up in and have it in my meals. I haven't been having as much because I'm on a different regimen right now. But yeah, I'm with you 100%.
yeah, yeah.
I'm
And
with you a ton. Yeah.
And then the other thing that I want to mention, I don't have it in front of me, but I had shared this on social media too. I'll try to maybe post it below. I had shared it about 2 weeks ago, and it was a nice quote. It didn't mention veganism. It didn't mention plant-based, but it mentioned that the most important thing we can do for the health of everybody and the health of society is to work on fixing our broken food system. Because this is just a red
Mm,
flag that's been thrown up here with COVID-19, where we gotta keep a better eye on this. And I think, thankfully some of the lawmakers are moving into action. That, like I said, that was a surprise to me. I'm so glad to see that. But that's what we need to do. We need to work on that, whatever way helps to improve our food system. And I think, Marcus, both you and I know that
mhm.
that is a almost fully plant-based or mostly all plant-based, no animal product type of a food system. That's where we're going to have to go. I don't see any other way around this.
Yeah, I really do, especially with after some of these happenings as of recently. I really do think that, in 15, 20 years that people really will look back and it'll be the opposite of where it had been in the last 10 or 20 years where, plant people that were plant-based were the smaller group. I think it's going to start to
Oh, yeah.
really, really change. And
Pendulum
yeah,
swing.
I felt like it. Yeah, exactly. I felt like it for, since I first took on this lifestyle and I saw what it did for my health and I saw what it did for my energy and I saw what it did, you know, from the side of athletically performing and being physically strong and fit. Um, I just know that this is definitely the way to go. And these times are now proving it. So
Yeah,
yeah,
well,
man.
I'm happy that
Good
you and I are both
conversation.
here discussing this, and that
Me too.
this is the time. I mean, this is a time of change. This is the whole reason why I started, this organization here behind me,
Right.
is because we need to educate people. I think that once people get enough education, they're going to know what the choice is. It's not rocket science.
Hmm.
It's not difficult. We don't want pandemics, so let's do what we can do to prevent them. And these kinds of things. And the stuff's great. So thanks for sharing the donuts too, because
Yeah.
people don't know they can eat donuts. You can still eat
Yeah.
donuts, and there's
And
no
it's
problems at
raw.
all. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
all right. Well,
So
until next time, you got any closing
yeah,
words
man.
besides that, or I think
No,
we're
just stay happy, guys. Stay healthy. Stay positive. Just crazy times, but there's lots that we can do to kind of just keep bettering yourself.
all right. Have fun eating plants. Bye
Yeah.
bye.
Later, guys.